In a world where every moment can tip the scales of history, tonight's story unfolds with the intensity of a thunderstorm over the desert. If you're captivated by unraveling global events and want to stay informed with balanced, in-depth analysis, don't forget to hit that like button. Your support helps us bring you more insightful content, so please give this video a thumbs up before we dive in. Just hours after Israel executed one of its most forceful aerial strikes on a critical Iranian facility, the globe held its breath, anticipating Tehran's reaction. The answer came swiftly. That very night, Israel's advanced air defense network was pushed to its absolute limits. From Iran's western frontier, a barrage of missiles and drones surged toward Israel's core. Tel Aviv, a city long seen as a beacon of economic resilience, was thrust into the crosshairs. What astonished observers was not just the sheer volume of projectiles unleashed, but the lightning-fast coordination and magnitude of the offensive. Within mere minutes, radar screens were ablaze. Thousands of civilians scrambled for shelter. The events of that night not only rattled Israel to its core, but also sent a resounding warning to the international community. A new phase in this conflict had begun. Though the rivalry between Israel and Iran is far from novel, this latest escalation was triggered when Israel, quietly backed by the United States and its partners, initiated air raids on multiple Iranian locations. Nuclear installations, military compounds, and key communication hubs were targeted. Reports emerged of Iranian scientists and officials among the casualties, the justification being suspicions that Iran was accelerating its nuclear weapons program. Yet, up to the moment of the strike, no definitive proof had surfaced. Even the IAEA, the world's nuclear watchdog, had not released any official statements regarding Iran's alleged violations. In essence, the accusations lacked solid grounding. Many experts labeled Israel's actions as a unilateral provocation rather than a preventive measure. The operation proceeded without international approval. Iran condemned it as blatant aggression and asserted its right to defend its sovereignty. More than 150 ballistic missiles, including Shahab-3 and Sejil models, were fired toward Israel, accompanied by roughly 100 kamikaze drones and surveillance aircraft. These were aimed at a range of strategic sites: Tel Aviv, Jerusalem, Negev military installations, and infrastructure in Ashdod and Be'er-Sheva. Preliminary field reports indicated that dozens of missiles breached the Iron Dome's defenses, striking several urban areas. In Tel Aviv, plumes of smoke rose from industrial zones, with repeated explosions echoing through the southern districts. Sirens wailed incessantly. Residents in Ashkelon and Netivot rushed to underground shelters. Numerous buildings were reduced to rubble. Fires engulfed residential neighborhoods. Emergency vehicles and rescue crews raced through the streets. In Jerusalem, flashes of light and thunderous sounds illuminated the night sky, revealing the ferocity of the aerial battle. Although a significant portion of the incoming projectiles was intercepted, the sheer scale and synchronization of the attack overwhelmed the defense systems. The Israeli military itself acknowledged that this was among the most intricate and coordinated assaults they had ever faced. In response, Israel activated all its premier air defense assets, from Iron Dome and David's Sling to the Arrow system. Allied nations, including the United States, Britain, and France, lent their support. They provided satellite surveillance, regional radar coverage, and even intercepted some threats from U.S. bases in the Middle East. According to Israeli officials, approximately 80 to 85% of missiles were successfully neutralized. This demonstrated the robustness of their defenses. However, Iranian authorities claimed otherwise. Tehran's official statements asserted that dozens of ballistic missiles struck command centers, military installations, and critical industrial sites in Tel Aviv. They even circulated footage and satellite imagery purportedly showing significant damage at various strategic locations. Some independent analysts conceded that substantial destruction likely occurred in certain districts. Yet it remains unclear whether this resulted from direct missile impacts or debris from intercepted projectiles. One thing is certain, Israel's defense shield no longer appears infallible. Such layered, simultaneous offensives have exposed vulnerabilities. The world now understands that even the most sophisticated technology can falter under overwhelming, sudden pressure. The United Nations Security Council convened an emergency session. The United States urged Israel to avoid disproportionate retaliation while reaffirming its support for Israel's right to self-defense. Meanwhile, Russia and China called for an immediate halt to hostilities. Countries like Qatar and the United Arab Emirates voiced concerns about the risk of the conflict spreading across their region. The U.S. president met urgently with intelligence and military leaders. Meanwhile, human rights organizations began preparing for a potential refugee crisis if the conflict escalates further. This assault underscored a pivotal reality. Iran now possesses the capability to launch long-range, high-precision, high-volume strikes. They have mastered complex attack strategies, blending drones, missiles, and saturation tactics potent enough to strain even the most advanced defenses. For Israel, despite intercepting most missiles, the psychological and strategic toll was unmistakable. Looking ahead, Israel faces threats not only from Iran, but also from Hezbollah in the north and other Iranian-backed groups in Iraq and Syria. In short, a new era of high-tech asymmetric warfare has dawned. Iran has made it clear they will not remain passive in the face of aggression. Now, Israel stands at a crossroads, whether to escalate its response or pivot toward diplomatic solutions. The world watches anxiously, hoping the next move opens the door to dialogue rather than unleashing another wave of missiles. Yet in the Middle East, as history has shown, the prospect of peace often hinges on who fires the last shot. This video is intended solely for educational and informational purposes, presenting a balanced perspective based on factual analysis. We do not condone violence, hatred, or hate speech of any kind. As we reflect on these unfolding events, what lessons can we draw about the true cost of conflict in our interconnected world? How might the choices of leaders today shape the destinies of millions tomorrow? In a region where hope and hardship often walk hand in hand, could the next chapter be written through dialogue rather than destruction? Share your thoughts in the comments below. Your perspective matters. And if you found this analysis valuable, don't forget to like the video and subscribe for more balanced insights on global affairs and history.